They were taking part in a rite of passage for young hockey players traveling to a highly anticipated playoff game when the unthinkable happened along a rural highway.
To try to understand how something like that could happen at the bat of an eyelash is just hard to believe and hard to make sense of.
Canadian officials say the Humboldt Broncos junior hockey team from Saskatchewan was on the way to a game Friday when their bus was broadsided by a semi.
I got a call at 5:45 from a friend of mine, and he asked me if I'd heard from Adam today. I said no.
This happened near Tisdale, which is about 2
The news flash came on, and right away, both my daughter and myself looked at each other, and we both realized that Adam was on the bus.
Just a little while ago, officials said that rescue efforts are still underway, tracking this.
So I called Adam, no answer. I called Darcy, the coach, no answer. So then I phoned my friend back, and I asked him, how serious is this accident? He said, oh, it's pretty serious. You better come.
The horrific scene. A bus ripped open, wreckage spilled onto a rural highway.
Mom called me. They waited for me to come home. And then we immediately started driving. We didn't really know where.
15 people were killed, 14 others were injured.
Parents were very scared, we were scared, and feared the worst. As information flooded in, it just got worse and worse.
Reactions are just coming from everywhere, all over the world.
Spent our lives at that age riding buses to hockey games. And
we were getting different kinds of information, so we weren't sure what really had happened, and who was lost and who wasn't, and so it took quite a while.
It's such a tragedy on a scale that is unfathomable.
We knew that the accident was bad. We knew as a rookie he'd be sitting in the front. But you still just hope.
A vigil will be held Sunday night in Humboldt. The tragedy sending a small, tight-knit community spiraling into a grief that really can't be put into words.
I couldn't believe it. It didn't really feel real.
How can this be true?
Like everybody, I'll never forget where I was.
Even though Adam's gone, his story isn't over.
He was born in Regina, 650 something on April 12, 2001.
Well, I remember going to the hospital and seeing him. He had a big head of hair. It's a big baby.
We had little quads when we were little and little skidoos. We did lots of that, but we loved the farm.
1 week they would play farm. So they would bring all the tractors up and they'd set up farm, and it would be full out farm, and I would just leave it for the week. And then they would say, okay, let's clean this up, and they'd play rodeo, say. If it was exhibition time, then that was the thing. They had this little rodeo set.
But they got along really good, and wherever we went, people would always go, oh, the Herolds are, because all four of us, didn't matter if it was an Aaron activity or an Adam activity, they always followed along. They were always along.
Yeah, we were always good like that. Wanted to play together. Well, there's only two of us. There's not really a lot of option there.
We never ever took a friend along with theirs on a holiday. They got along so well that they were each other's best friend, is what it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
These are the pictures of when Adam was in my classroom. You can see in this picture he's at the back because he was always one of the tallest students in the class. I look at these pictures and I just see that's Adam to me. Just happy and smiling.
Very intimidating guy because of his size, but when I first talked to him or whatever, I lightened up right to him. He was probably the friendliest person in the classroom.
When we went to do any kind of activity, students wanted to be on Adam's team. They wanted to be a part of Adam's group. Just with his skill and kindness, and he could include everybody, and they felt important on his team.
You know, you looked up to him. You wanted to try and be him, and you kind of respected him in a way that a lot of other people would probably do the same. So yeah, no, I would say he was definitely a leader.
He started skating when he was 2. By 3, he was already playing. He'd play along on Aaron's team, kind of tag along. And he just kind of had a natural balance and just kind of took to it pretty quick.
The first time I remember meeting Adam Herold, I was coaching a hockey team from Regina. We were playing in a tournament in Montmartre or Odessa, one of those small towns, and we were playing against a team that Russ was coaching and Adam was playing. And I remember Adam was so good and he was so much better than the rest of the kids on the ice that I was teasing Russ between periods that his son was an overage, that he couldn't play. Just because we were playing in a small town didn't mean we had to play with these small town rules where he had all these overage kids. Russ did me a favor in the third period and he put Adam in net to try to keep the game close, but they ended up winning it anyway.
Litsky working his way over the California line. Stops, and now here's number 20, Adam Herold, centering towards it, and he scores!
I first met Adam when he was a 12-year-old. He came to our summer camp just in preparation for playing with Prairie Storm that I coach. Worked with Adam, he was one of the few, well, he was the only first-year kid that made our hockey team as a 13-year-old. And I also scout for the PA Raiders, and we ended up drafting Adam as one of our early draft picks and had high expectations that he would be a critical part of our hockey team in PA as well.
He gets it all from behind the net. Herold traps that one in the blue line, puts a shot on net through traffic. He scores!
Adam, as a hockey player, had a superior talent. I mean, he had a great shot, skated well, fairly rugged, so he's the kind of kid that could play in any situation. He came in, took his time, got to know the guys quite well, became a natural leader in the room. He was the kid that was stepping up, calming other players down, really helping them along. And in that, we saw like real leadership capability.
Captain of your team has to be the link between the coaches and the players. And Adam had so much trust and respect from everybody around him that you knew that no matter where he was, what he was doing, that he was going to carry that Pat Canadians brand, the flag, and he was going to be the best representative that he could possibly be.
He always led by example, and that's what I admired about him. He, even if he wasn't having the best game, he'd still be working as hard as he could to try to improve his game and try to help out the team as much as he could.
He's the kind of player that, you knew that he was going to be putting in the work. He was the first kid in the gym. He was pushing the weights all the time. He was also the type in practice he wanted to understand. He didn't just do the drills. He tried to understand why we're trying to do it, and then he'd help other kids to understand.
If you could even drop that shoulder into it more.
He'd come up and he'd say, I'm only going to come for half an hour, but we were never here less than an hour.
Yeah. Did it feel any different? Yeah, it felt good. Like you're right, yeah.
I would videotape his shot, we'd go over the video, we'd go over it, and he would want to fine-tune the shot, get the technique right down. He was just constantly wanting to improve. In terms of Adam being a dedicated player, I don't know if there's many players at 16 years of age that would be dedicated more.
He's got a little placemat thing. When you go down to his room, you'll see it. He made it in, I don't even know, we think it's grade 5. And he's kept it as a little placemat on his desk all these years. And important things to me, and it was family, friends, hockey, hunting, skidooing, and that's what he put.
He
definitely believed in being responsible and having a good work ethic and just being kind to everyone. I was reading one of his little kid journals earlier, and it even says, I wasn't necessarily nice, but from now on I'm going to try and be nice all the time.
Those who are going to be leaders after him can emulate their attributes and their qualities after Adam Herold. And Adam left a great list of things that one should do if they want to be a leader.
He was a smart, intelligent kid, loved other players, but he was a softie. I remember watching him play a game against the top player in Saskatchewan. They battled the whole game. Both were exhausted at the end, and he was the type of kid that at the end of that gave the other kid a tap on the pad, and they were good, and they were good buddies and played on the provincial team together. And so just a warm-hearted kid.
Happy birthday, dear Grandpa. Well, he loved being with all the rest of the kids, and it didn't matter if you were 20 or 6. He could have just as much fun with them as he would have with us. Like even as a young kid playing was mini sticks and a ball in the basement, and oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, they had some good, real mini stick games down in that basement.
One Christmas Day, one guy even put a shoulder into the wall, and they were all scared to come upstairs and tell us. Yeah, they had lots of fun.
You know, Adam Herold to me is the blueprint for not only what you want to see in young hockey players, but in young people in general. If we can do something and use Adam as an example and keep his legacy going as a goal-oriented young leader in the community and how he carried himself and show him as an example, then I think that we're doing about as good a service as we can to just such a fine young man that had such a bright future.
We started the Adam Herold Legacy Foundation to continue all the things that Adam would have done in his life, to try and give back all the things that he might have done.
But it's also to give others opportunity who maybe don't have the opportunities that Adam had, especially rural kids, because a lot of rural kids maybe have a lot of potential, but maybe nobody picks up on it, or there's just not the opportunity that Adam had.
Yeah, they're not maybe exposed to some of the things, and don't realize what it maybe takes to move on even at a sports level, at a higher level. So just to kind of expose them to the training and the nutrition,
what's required,
and even the leadership side of it, just to be a better person in their community.
I think this is just a great opportunity for us to reach out and connect with some of those kids that might be on the borderline of whether they want to be a hockey player or whether they want to be a basketball player or they want to go to school and become a doctor or whatever their dreams are. And if we can go out there and instill through high performance hockey with some coaching and some training and make it fun and combine leadership and what it's like to be a good person in the community, then you know what, I think Adam would be smiling about that, and I think that he would really appreciate it.
From Humboldt, number 34, Adam Herold.
So, a couple last questions. Why hockey? What's important about hockey?
It's just fun to play. Like, it's a good game. It's lots of fun. Like, I was just in it since I was young, and I never quit it.
Do you think hockey teaches you anything?
Yeah, lots of life lessons. Like, our coaches are constantly talking about life lessons. It's not just about hockey, it's all about life too.
Give me some examples. What do you mean by that?
Just being you gotta be trustworthy with your teammates. That goes for life too, with your coworkers. You can't have a coworker that you don't trust. So you gotta be a trustworthy person.
Adam, it sounds like you got your head on straight, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
I really appreciate the interview.
No problem.
I hear the sound of a gravel road. I feel the wheels of a Detroit Steel taking me home. I see the house just up ahead. Same 2 and 1, my daddy's son. Will I wake in bed and dream myself to sleep and to keep. Red dirt, white church, blue collar, still running through my veins. I was born small town, deep roots, mud on these boots. I wouldn't change a thing. That's how I was born and raised. Born and raised. Born and raised. Yes, how I was born and raised. That's why I was born and raised. Born and raised. That's why I was born and raised. I'll never leave this little town.